What's good, everybody? It's when I come back at you on a video. So with this video, I wanted to talk about progress, making progress. This video, I wanted to talk about working towards the goal, the dream, right? Being on that journey, and to highlight to you guys that slow motion, or in other words, even making slow progress, is always better than no motion, or better yet, no progress, right? Slow progress is better than no progress. Slow motion is better than no motion, right? And I want to highlight that to you guys because oftentimes people are even afraid to get started with going after their goals, their dream, because they just don't know how it's going to happen. They don't see, you know, the road, they don't see a clear path as far as how it's going to happen, right? Because we as humans, through the educational system, through our experiences being around other humans, right? We've been trained to be logical creatures. We've been trained to need to have an answer, to need to find an explanation, right? That's basically how we were brought up in school, right? We always need to look for the answer to solve the problem. But oftentimes with certain things we want to accomplish, right? There won't be an answer, at least oftentimes from the beginning. And that's what makes the beginning so challenging, right? The beginning, it's unclear. You may not have direction. You may not know where to go or how to start. And the other reason why the beginning is so challenging is because you don't have any experience. You don't know what it's like to work towards that goal, that dream, or if you've gotten started, right? Sometimes it feels as though the work you're putting in feels wasted because you feel as though you should already be, well on your journey once you made some progress. But sometimes it may not unfold for you that way, right? Sometimes it may just be that it will take some time, but that your time is coming, right? And what you need to know is that your time is coming. Like, well, your time is already here, but that eventually the rest of the world is going to catch up, and then you'll eventually arrive at where it is that you're headed, right? Basically, as you take one step, you put one foot in front of the other, and you begin to trust and believe, then soon enough, the road is going to reveal itself to you, right? Soon enough, as you keep heading in the right direction, that's when eventually you'll get to your destination. Or as you're heading to your destination, you'll be able to look back and see all of the progress that you've made, that at one point you felt it wasn't getting you anywhere, to now being able to say, wow, look how much I've traveled from the very beginning, and I finally made it to where I'm headed, right? You've probably heard the saying, how does one eat an elephant, right? How do you eat an elephant? And you eat an elephant by taking one bite at a time, right? It's not that you sit down and eat the entire elephant in one sitting, right? You don't put the elephant on a plate and you just keep going until it's done, right? You eat an elephant one bite at a time. So essentially, it could be that Monday you take a bite. Could mean that Tuesday you take 2 bites. And Wednesday you take 3 bites. And then maybe Thursday you're not feeling yourself. Maybe you're under the weather. Maybe you just had sort of a bad day. And maybe Thursday you don't take any bites at all. And then maybe Friday you may take half a bite, right? Because you have a little bit of energy to make some progress, but not really, right? That is still okay, because at the end of the day, if you add it up, you still took 6 bites, right? And that's still 6 bites more than if you didn't take any to begin with, right? And I'm saying this because even making slow progress is still better than no progress, right? Even if you're crawling towards your dream, right? That's still better than not even getting started to begin with, right? You're still courageous enough to pursue it. And that should be something to be proud of. That should be something that you should applaud, right? Because most people would not even head in the direction of their goals or their dreams. There's a lot of people that don't even have any goals, don't even know what it is that they truly want out of life, right? Like they may have an idea as far as what they want, but when it comes to believing that they can get it or actively working towards that, they don't have that. They'll just accept whatever life throws at them, right? That's someone that hasn't even begun heading in the right direction, right? Heading towards their North Star. Even if you're crawling towards your North Star, you're still making more progress than just not moving at all, right? Of course, I'm sure everyone would want to be in a full sprint towards their North Star, towards their goals, their dreams. But there's going to be some days where you're running. There's going to be some days where you're walking. There's going to be other days where you're crawling. And then there's going to be some days where you're absolutely exhausted and you just want to sleep all day, or you just want to just relax, or, take your mind off of it and go on vacation. And those might be days where you don't make any progress. But that is okay, because as long as you know where you're headed and you continue heading in that right direction, you will eventually get there. It's no different than being on a long distance drive, right? Say you're driving 2-3 hours to another state, right? Before that drive begins, you've already mentally committed that you're going to drive to that destination, right? And if it's 2 hours in whatever direction, you've committed to that. And once you begin your drive, you're expecting to eventually arrive there. It's very unlikely that you'll drive 1 hour towards your destination and then complain that it's taking too long for you to arrive. So then at the 1 hour mark, you get so frustrated that you're not at your destination that you turn back home, right? Like that rarely, I don't think that's ever happened to anybody, right? Barring anything, right? Like obviously I'm excluding emergencies, like if you get sick or anything, right? Like if everything is fine and it's a 2-hour drive, you never turn back halfway through and say, screw this, right? You accept the distance, the amount of time it's going to take, and then you go on that journey regardless of the time, right? Like if it's a 2-hour drive, but it's been over an hour and you're not even at the halfway mark, you still accept that that's the drive that you're going to take, and you still embark on that journey, right? You should have that same level of acceptance for all other areas, especially if there's some goals and dreams that you feel are important to you, that would add so much to your life that you would want it to be part of your life experience. You can't put a time limit on it, right? You can't just say this needs to happen by this day or by, this time, because you don't know how your journey is supposed to be, right? For some people, it can happen sooner than the date that they anticipated. For other people, it can take longer. But your journey is going to be your journey. It's appreciate that, embrace it, right? Regardless of how much time it takes, right? And you need to stop focusing on the time itself, right? Because that is honestly irrelevant. If something means something, if your goal, your dream is important enough to you, then you should pursue that, and you should make it. You should have your mind made up that you're going to experience that is going to be part of your life, right? So I say this to remind you and to give you motivation, right? To for something that's important enough, don't give up, right? Keep pushing forward, and just know there's going to be days where you might not make any progress. Like some days you might not move forward. There's some days where you might crawl, right? Make a little bit of incremental progress. But once again, right, slow progress is better than no progress, right? Slow motion is still better than no motion. If you keep heading in the direction towards that goal, that dream, that North Star, at some point you will arrive. So why does it matter the time, right? Some people may have some people might put down a date or a time limit of when something is supposed to happen, and then because it didn't happen by that date, they'll end up quitting, not knowing that maybe then the day after was supposed to be their day that they were gonna win, right? Maybe it was the day after or the week after that you quit that you were supposed to end up winning. And right, like there's a saying, it's like whether you can or you can't, either way you're both right? So before you get started, make up your mind if this is something that you're gonna go after, if it's something you're gonna pursue. If it is, then don't quit at the beginning, right? Quit when you get a reward from it, because then if you're able to quit at the mountaintop, then you can accept all of the work that you've done and you can appreciate what you've built, and then you can be able to step away with a clear mind that like this is okay for you to put down. But if you're super passionate about something, you're working towards something and you haven't received the reward for it, If you quit after putting in all this effort for something that really means a lot to you without getting a reward, then that is probably what's going to sting the most, right? You'll probably live with regret, because there'll always be that what if you kept going, right? So this right here is just a life advice for anyone in all areas, right? If you're pursuing YouTube, right, even if you're putting out one video a week, right, that's still better than not putting out any content whatsoever, right? You can be looking at other content creators and say, oh man, all these people are posting daily, but I can't do that, right? That's okay, right? Go at your own pace, because life is not a race. It's not a sprint, right? It's a marathon, and it's everyone in life is always on a marathon. And oftentimes, the people who end up winning the marathon or reaping the rewards or being like the faces of industry are literally people who just maintained in the marathon, right? If we were to use a literal hypothetical marathon, right, like majority of people don't reach the finish line, right? There's gonna be a lot of people that quit mile one, and that could be the beginning of your journey. Then there's gonna be even more people that quit before getting to mile 5 and mile 10, right? And even mile 15. But usually those people who've made it that far to mile 25 are also going to hit mile 26, right? You can even look at data online, the psychology of the marathon, how it's normal for people to drop out at every mile except until they reach mile 25, because a marathon is 26 miles. So once someone sees the mile 25, that's when they realize like, yo, I'm right at the end. I'm gonna make it. And so people who reach mile 25 rarely ever drop out, because they know that they're close to the end goal, right? So that's how it is. Just keep going at your own pace and keep it up. Eventually, your breakthrough is happening. Just be patient, have belief, and remain focused, and just keep putting one foot in front of the other. Even if you don't see the path clearly or the road ahead, it's sufficient enough to put one foot in front of the other, because as you do that, as you keep taking that step after step after step, that's when eventually other pieces of information will begin unfolding to you that you were previously unaware of, right? And that comes with experience, that comes with just being around, right? So remain locked in, remain focused, and it's okay if certain days you crawl or certain days you don't make progress, right? Most important part is just to stick with it, right? And you sticking with it will ensure that at some point you'll end up winning. So that wraps up the video. Enjoy the video. Do leave a like and subscribe, as we are on the road to 100 subscribers, guys. So once again, this is Joel, and I'm out. I'll see you guys in the next video.